Look, Phyllis, I don't understand. I don't understand why people love Animal Crossing so much. Why live in a virtual world when I could be living my life right now? You know what? I'm gonna let you know, but make sure you delete this message.
Sorry, sir, but because of the virus, I'm gonna have to ask you to get back in your house!
Can I at least go buy Animal Crossing? For the Switch?
What? You don't want to buy the eShop version?
Ew, no.
Ha ha ha, I hear ya. Here, borrow my copy for now. Just got real quick. Here you go.
You just carry this around with you? On the job?
Well, sure. I purchased the pocket upgrade after all.
Two weeks later.
Hey, Eric, you okay, bro? I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks.
It's a good game.
You saw that guy? Yeah, that was me, with the exception of being quarantined in my own home back when New Leaf came out on the 3DS. I simply didn't understand the craze behind Animal Crossing until I really gave it that old college try and found out what it had to offer. And as painful as it is to admit it, out of all the video games I've ever played, I probably have put more hours into this series than I have in any other game series. But it makes sense. Animal Crossing by nature is a sim game, meaning you're building yourself a separate life in a virtual environment with quirky fun animal characters. You got wacky trees that grow money and sometimes spit out random items like hot tubs, you can catch fish, bugs, and the list just goes on and on. Sure, I could probably talk endlessly about how charming this game is and how much I love it.
But charm can't get you everywhere, sweetie.
Now I'm just gonna come out and say it, I usually put the rating at the end of the video, but there's no use in hiding it when it's pretty obvious. But for me, Animal Crossing New Horizons is absolutely an S-tier game. What? Animal Crossing rivals even Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey? Surely you must be joking. No. And here's why.
Gameplay.
Animal Crossing New Horizons follows the same formula the series has established in past titles, but of course adds a few extra layers to make it an even more juicier experience. The first few Animal Crossing games had you moving to pre-established towns while letting you familiarize yourself with its inhabitants and its layout. For the most part in past titles, what you saw day one in terms of landscape, that was pretty much what you were going to get. In New Horizons, the game is so perfectly designed to not give you that kind of limitation. In fact, right from the get-go, you were given the option of 4 different island layouts from which you will make your destination upon for the whole game. Now I know what you're thinking, oh Eric, you simple-minded fool, can't you see it's the same thing? You are still locked to a distinct landscape for the whole game. You're simply just given a choice of 4 styles before the landscape has even been locked down forever. And my response would be, hold your horses. Now the gameplay was so smartly designed with a sense of natural progression in mind. Sure, all Animal Crossing games have this with filling out your museum and collecting all the cool items, or upgrading and paying off your house entirely, but no. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is the linear progression to exploring your entire island. Once you arrive on your island, there's literally nothing but a little dirt square with Tom Nook's resident services tent, as well as Tom Nook himself and his nephews Timmy and Tommy. You also arrive with 2 other random villagers. Mine happen to be Jay the Blue Jay and Agnes the Pig, who can't stop reminding me of Peppa Pig every time I see her. From there, you are basically gated by rivers to a specific section of your island. The only way to explore past those rivers is by using the vaulting pole. But you can't get the vaulting pole until you help Blathers find some fish and insects to help further establish the museum on your island. Only then will Blathers teach you the DIY recipe for the vaulting pole to get you to the other side of your island so that you can explore for fossils to further help the development of your island and your museum. You see, it's great. Progression. Yeah! Similarly, there are 3 levels to your island, a base level, 2nd, and 3rd level. In order to get to the 2nd and 3rd level, you need to get the DIY recipe for the latter, which is given to you by Tom Nook after a few more days. Getting access up there lets you find different species of fish and your native flowers. Now at this point, you pretty much have full access to your entire island. And this, my friends, is where the fun really starts cooking. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to being able to decorate outside your home. That's right, the whole island is your oyster for you to decorate. It is astounding how much customization there is in this game. Every day when I come across new items, I'm always saying to myself, what? You can have that? I'll never forget when I saw that I could buy a giant Godzilla statue that breathes fire. Gotta say, I purchased that bad boy immediately and now it's been in front of my Smithsonian Museum since I got it. Of course, with any Animal Crossing game, you still have the essentials like collecting bugs, fish, and fossils and efforts to donate them and complete your museum. You have many loan payments you can pay off as well to further expand your dream home, and of course you have many items to collect for your hoarding pleasure. But on top of all the items you can buy, you can now craft items as well, which is absolutely insane. If Animal Crossing before crafting was the onion seed, well, it totally makes sense that Animal Crossing with crafting is the actual onion. Because
onions have layers.
The layers of content alone from the crafting system is just insane. Beyond just the crafting system, which mind you is very simple comparative to other crafting systems, you are also able to customize your craftable crafts? Look, what I mean is when you make a bed and some side tables, you can then turn what would be a basic wooden bed and wooden side tables into a colorful decorative decor that you never knew you needed until you painted that last drop of virtual paint. It's awesome, man. The game literally caters to your taste. And that's where I want to go even further. How the game caters to you. Animal Crossing by nature is just a relaxing, enjoyable experience. But that doesn't mean that's all it needs to be to you. If you really wanted to treat this game as a let me complete this game as fast as I can, then you could probably do that via date changing. But honestly, I think you lose half the experience by doing that. It's about growing with your villagers, and not only them, but with your friends. My wife Gaby and I started on day 1, and it's been such a rich, fulfilling experience playing side by side. Playing this game in tangent with my wife and visiting her on her island, seeing what unique things she has been doing, and it's just so amazing how this game can cater so perfectly to a good array of different gameplay styles. She likes to garden and become best friends with her animal buddies, while I love to fish and complete my fossils and do all the basic things in Animal Crossing. Of course, we both like doing all these things, but you can clearly see that you can have different priorities in this game, and the results will definitely show. Whether it's a near-completed museum or a fancy mega garden or your very own dream mansion, there's so much enjoyment to be had at all angles. There's an article I read by Bart Stewart called Personality and Playstyles that I'll link in the description if you want to read more about it, but I thought that the basic 4 personalities that he calls the 4 Bartle types were very interesting to talk about in this video. Basically, the 4 types are the Socializer, the Killer, the Explorer, and the Achiever. Honestly, I think this is a great place to start when talking about how to categorize your personal playstyle. Perhaps you're an individual that has only one of these personalities, or maybe you're very broad and have all 4. The main key here is for you to determine what do you like more out of your video games. Is it the socializing aspect, getting to know all the other players? Club Penguin anybody? Is it the killer personality where you are only all about destruction and mayhem, and all you want to do is fight to the death? Think first-person shooter games, or even fighting games in general. Or perhaps you like the open world games where you can spend hours just exploring the world and what it has to offer you. Stuff like Breath of the Wild has a huge explorer aspect to it. And finally, maybe you have this sense of achiever in your heart where it really tickles your fancy getting achievements completed and getting those golden trophies, as it were. Whatever the case may be, I think that if a game can cater to most, if not all of these types of personalities, then that game by nature will be very well received by many people. Animal Crossing New Horizons falls into this category, or should I say categories. Now sadly, there is no killer combat in Animal Crossing as some people might have wished there would have been. But luckily, Doom Eternal was released on the same exact day as Animal Crossing, so it's a really great time to be a gamer right now, wouldn't you say? Especially with the, But regardless of the killer personality, having covered this wide array of personalities is actually pretty dang impressive. Obviously, there's a lot of socializing, not with just your villagers on your island, but as other players can come to your island and you can go to theirs. There's a good amount of exploration from day to day, searching for things as well as being able to fly to remote islands by redeeming Nook Miles, which, oh my gosh, we haven't even talked about Nook Miles yet, and that's just another layer. Finally, the Achiever comes into play not only by completing your museum or maximizing your house by paying it off, but in the form of Nook Miles. That's right, by completing in-game tasks, you are awarded with a cool little achievement stamp followed by a good chunk of Nook Miles. And what are Nook Miles used for, you ask? Well, a lot of stuff. First off, like I said previously, you are able to use these Nook Miles to fly to remote islands that are uninhabited. Mostly. Sometimes there will be a villager there that you can recruit to your own island, but most of the time they'll be uninhabited. Basically, these islands are randomly generated. Sometimes there'll be rare fruit that doesn't grow on your island there. Maybe there's some exotic fish that you still don't have that'll be there. But at the end of the day, if you go to one of these islands with an almost empty inventory and just bring your essential tools, you can come back and sell everything for more than 15,000 bells, guaranteed every single time. So if you need extra bells to pay off that last bit you need for your bridge, going to an island is way better than spending your miles on, say, bell tickets. Yes, it may take longer to farm everything on that island, but hey, you might get a fish you don't have or a bug you haven't caught yet. And at the end of the day, you will be making more money than you would just buying bell tickets. Miles can also buy you other cool items like that Godzilla statue I was telling you about earlier, and it can even buy you cool DIY recipes. And even later down the road when you unlock Terraforming, it can get you permits to make and break cliffs and rivers and ponds. And what happens after you complete all the stamp objectives? Well, I have no idea. I'm not even nearly close, and I've spent over 80 hours in this game. I'm not even halfway there. But what I do know is that after you do complete all the stamp objectives, you'll still always be able to earn miles on the Nook Miles Plus, where they simply just cycle through little tasks to net you small amounts of Nook Miles, like cutting down a tree or catching 5 bugs. And who knows, maybe even by the time I collect all the stamp objectives, Nintendo might just patch more in, or maybe it'll come as DLC. The possibilities are endless, my kumquats. And speaking of updates, just the other week, the game was updated with Bunny Day content, adding something like 37 special themed DIY recipes just for Bunny Day. This is incredible to me. This is essentially confirming my hopes that Nintendo can easily keep pumping out these seasonal events with more nuggets of DIY content over and over. And I could see this lasting for a very long time. After about 2 weeks of consistent gameplay, netting about 70 hours, I was finally granted the ability to craft my own island, also known as terraforming. Now, I thought that once I got to this point that the game would become less fun because now I can literally adjust the island to whatever I want. But really, that's not the case at all. I have found myself constantly getting new DIY recipes and new items that constantly keep making me rethink my design choices, and therefore going back and doing all my island designs over and over. I absolutely love and hate it. It definitely costs an arm and a leg when paying miles for the island designer tools, but once you have them, it's unlimited, baby. Lastly, let's talk about online play. Going over to my wife's island and other friends' island have been so incredibly fun. Being able to see what people have come up with, and not just in their own homes, but on their island as well, has been such a treat. I don't know how many times I've been to friends' islands and I've been like, whoa, I want to do that. Functionally, the online play has been pretty great, with maybe 3 to 4 connection drops out of 30 sessions. And to be honest, it might have even just have been my friends or my own fault, so with that said, yeah, Nintendo, you pretty much just set the bar with great online play in Animal Crossing. If there really was something that I had to nitpick at this game, I'd say the process for going to and from islands can be a little too wordy. In order to get to an island, you have to go down to Wilbur, the dodo bird, and go through a ton of text just to see what friends' islands are available. Even worse, when you want to have a friend come to your island, you have to drop everything and then run all the way back to your airport just to open your gates so that they can come to your island. Then if people leave and you want to do other stuff like buy things, you need to run back to those gates and manually close them. It's a long, tedious process that could have been easily fixed by just using the Nook phone to call Wilbur and go boop beep, gates closed, boop beep, gates open. But what are you gonna do? If they did fix that, I really wouldn't have to nitpick at all the text that Wilbur says. Now I could go on and on about gameplay, guys, but gosh, there's so much, and yet it is still so relaxing. You know what I mean? There's so much you could be doing at all points in the game, yet I am so incredibly relaxed when playing this game. It's very unique, and at its core, that's what Animal Crossing has done right in the past, and is still doing it and killing it, might I add, in New Horizons. But how does it look?
Aesthetics.
Come on guys, it's friggin' gorgeous. I have slowly and surely spent less and less time on aesthetics in my reviews as they go on, but dang it, games have been pretty polarizing as of late. There's nothing really in between. Okay, maybe with the exception of Pokemon Sword and Shield. But yeah, they really poured their hearts and souls into polishing Animal Crossing. As I said in our first impressions video, that it honestly kind of rivals Luigi's Mansion 3 in terms of its jaw-dropping beauty. On one end, you have a relaxing nature side, and on the other end, you have this dark, suspenseful side. Two different styles, but both look amazing. You can tell even just on little things like the textures on the leaves and how the wind blows through the trees. Everything was cross-checked to the T for quality. As I said in my 10 things I really want to see in Animal Crossing New Horizons, I really wanted to see more new personalities for the villagers. And ultimately, I don't think that really happened. Honestly, I think they have the same basic personalities, but even so, it doesn't make them any less animated or lively. They're always doing something, whether lifting weights in the background, or sipping on some coffee, or eating a sandwich, or running through my flowers. Gosh dang it, Egbert! Gosh dang it, Egbert, I'm gonna cook you up and eat a chicken sandwich. They keep your island lively to say the least, and even if I didn't get any new personalities like the gamer, or maybe the fisherman, or perhaps the sunbather, I still love my island animals and they complete the experience for sure. Another thing I said I wanted in my 10 things I really want to see in Animal Crossing New Horizons video was that I really wanted to see some good new hourly music. And gosh dang it, if you played through the same guitar riff going over and over and over and over, bless your soul, literally bless your soul. Do it right now, bless your soul. You deserve the hourly music that you got for bearing through that. Yeah, so basically until you upgrade your resident services tent, which if you are doing everything correctly, like inviting people to your island, then after about a week of torture, you should have your new resident services tent and that new juicy hourly music. And I can say with utter confidence, the 5 a.m. tune is the best and 2 p.m. is the worst. Come at me, let's go. And finally, one last thing I said in the video that I will no longer keep quoting because it's got a long title and I just realized while typing out this script that it probably would have been shorter just to quote it one last time, is that Tom Nook's morning announcements are really not that bad. I actually like them. They let you know what kind of special event is happening that day, like if someone moved in or a certain shop is now open. And I think that's actually pretty great. And then when Resident Services gets upgraded, Isabelle starts doing the announcements. And I mean, come on. It's Isabelle. And lastly, what about that museum? It's amazing, guys. It looks so gosh dang gorgeous, it's ridiculous. The fossil exhibit, the fish exhibit, the insect exhibit. They're all just so wonderfully designed. It is just so breathtaking and fun to go look in there every single day. I mean, guys, I went to DC last year and I went to a lot of museums. And this museum literally beats every single one of them, no contest. And it's very sad. So, you know what I think? Overall, what do I think about Animal Crossing New Horizons? It's good. It's real good. And if you don't have the game already, why don't you? Maybe you're solely a killer personality, but even if you have any enjoyment in any of those other personalities we talked about, you have got to give Animal Crossing New Horizons a try. I mean, now is the absolute perfect time with the whole isolation thing going on. And even if you are super busy, this game was designed for you to truly just spend little bits and pieces here and there whenever you do have some spare moments. I'll find myself doing stuff for work and then having about like a 20-minute gap for like an email response. I'll pick up my Switch, do some Animal Crossing, and then get back to work. It's perfect for that. There is so much to do, but honestly, that's because I wanted to make it that way. In the famous words of my wife after she's played the game just as long, the game is awesome in the fact that there is just so much to do, but even if you don't want to do anything for a little while, you won't get punished at all for it. And that, my friends, is the definition of relaxing gameplay.
Thanks for the game. Here.
Oh, cool. I guess I could buy a new game with this. Let me just put it real quick and oh, and you might want this. And now where did I put that thing? And then Merry Christmas. There you go. It's shiny and new. Take it. Have a good one.
Wow. Thanks. I'm telling you guys, if you've never given Animal Crossing a try, do it this time. Do it for me, please. And if you do it, invite me to your island because, gosh dang, I need so much fruit, guys. I need to sell so much foreign fruit so I can get out of debt from Tom Nook. Gosh dang. And if you do that, I'll love you even more than I do now because you know I love you guys. I love you. And until next time, see you in the next one. Yeah, Phyllis. Yeah, the game's good. Animal Crossing's good. Make sure you delete this message. Peace!
Sorry, sir, but because of the virus, I'm gonna have to ask you to get back in your house.